Can I do the prayers, Prabhu?
Do the what?
Prayers.
Yeah.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
So how to develop faith, sincerity, and love towards Guru? Is Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Is that the question?
Yes, Prabhu.
Who is asking this question?
This is Baldev Vithabhushan Das, Prabhu. On behalf of other devotees, I'm asking.
Oh. So, okay, how to develop faith, sincerity to Prabhupada? Because the first thing is that you must get initiated to him. The first thing in sadhana bhakti, In sadhana bhakti, the first thing is to develop our attachment for Prabhupada. These are the
Prabhu.
5 things that one must do first.
Prabhu, screen is not showing that, Prabhu.
My screen not showing, I am here. Come.
Can others see?
No, Mataji, it's just
White.
gray. Yeah.
Nobody can see, huh?
Blank it is.
Can you
Yes.
see now?
Prabhu,
Yes.
it's come up.
So this is the 5 things that one must do to get connected to Prabhupada, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
One must accept. Can anyone read this?
Yes, Prabhu. On the path of regulative devotion service, one must observe the following items. One must accept a bona fide spiritual master. One must accept initiation from him. One must serve him. One must receive instructions from the spiritual master and make inquiries in order to learn devotion service. And 5, one must follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and follow the directions given by the spiritual master.
So this is the first thing that one should do. Huh? Yes?
Yes.
And of course, I'll just go to this. What happened? Here, So these are the things that we should not do.
Mhm.
Can you read this?
One's devotion service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. Fifth, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And sixth, being greedy for mundane achievements.
So these are the 6 things that will spoil your spiritual life. So the number one, because the purport is there, I don't know you will have time to read, it's a very long purport.
Mhm.
But I'm just going to, can I explain it? No? So I recommend you to read it on your time,
Sure, Prabhu.
so that you will know what Prabhupada said. No? So eating more than necessary is the number one thing that, because eating is necessary, very important. We all have to eat, eating, mating, sleeping, defending, the 4 qualities of human being and animals. Everybody have to do that. But spiritually speaking, if we eat too much, then spiritually we become inhibited. We cannot make spiritual advancement.
Mhm.
Okay? In fact, Krishna explained in the Bhagavad Gita that one should learn how to eat less.
Atya.
See here, Krishna is saying, there's no possibility of one becoming yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough.
Yes, Prabhu.
He has to be kind of regulated. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all pain by practicing the yoga system.
Yes, Prabhu.
So eating is, yes, necessary, but we have to learn how to eat less, because we don't learn how to control the tongue, then it's very difficult to make spiritual advancement.
Mhm. So eating less, even prasadam also, right, Prabhu?
Yes. You want to read this?
Yes. As for the urges of the tongue, we all experience that the tongue wants to eat palatable dishes. Generally, we should not allow the tongue to eat according to its choice, but should control the tongue by supplying prasadam. The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasadam. That is a way to control the urges of the tongue. One should take prasadam at scheduled times and should not eat in restaurants or sweet meat shops simply to satisfy the whims of tongue or belly. If we stick to the principle of taking only prasadam, the urges of belly and tongue can be controlled.
So you see, the tongue, the belly, and the genitals are in the same straight line.
Mm-hmm.
So when you eat more, then the belly will get pressure. You can read this.
Yes. Similarly, the demands of the body can be divided into 3 categories: the demands of tongue, the belly, and the genitals. One may observe that these 3 senses are physically situated in a straight line as far as the body is concerned, and that the bodily demands begin with the tongue. If one can restrain the demands of the tongue by limiting its activities to eating of prasadam, the urges of belly and the genitals can automatically be controlled.
So this is the thing, If you eat too much, then it will activate your sex pleasure,
Yes, Prabhu.
So that's quite risky, So once you get, to activate your desire for lust, then you will be in big trouble, So again, practically it's like falling down. So therefore, we have to learn how to control eating.
Yes, Prabhu.
So that's why I said that one should learn how to eat less, You see here, who eats little.
Yes, Prabhu.
Such a person certainly elevates to the position of self-realization. If he eats a little, you understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
One of the qualities of the Vaishnava quality is that he learns how to eat less, See again. See here again. So there are 26 good qualities of Vaishnava. Yeah.
Does not eat
17.
more than
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
It's not eat more than required.
all
So
these
all this thing is based on the tongue, see? Everyone has got a very good tongue.
Yes, Prabhu.
So that's the problem, This tongue is not such an easy, lightweight thing to do. So it says here, you want to read, please?
By fasting, learned men quickly bring all of the senses except the tongue under control, because by abstaining from eating, such men are afflicted with an increased desire to gratify the sense of taste.
So you can see by fasting, we can bring all the sense under the control except the tongue. Because when you're fasting, you're always thinking what you're going to eat next day, this thing, that thing, so many things, Yes.
Rather than fasting, they're thinking of the feasting.
Yes. So carry on.
Although one may conquer all of the other senses, as long as the tongue is not conquered, it cannot be said that one has controlled the senses. However, if one is able to control the tongue, then one is understood to be in full control of all the senses.
So that's why the control of the tongue is so essential, You cannot control the tongue, then it says that you cannot control anything. The only way to control the tongue, Ataha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavat graham indraya hai. Sevamukha he jikva dao swayam eva sparati adaha. You want to read this?
Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is.
So this is why we have to control the tongue, no?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
We have to chant Hare Krishna and we have to take Krishna Prasadam. If we use our tongue to blaspheme devotees, did I cover the 10 offenses with you?
No, Prabhu.
I didn't do the 10 offenses of chanting.
Oh, that
with
we
you?
did, Prabhu.
Yeah, I must have done it, no?
Yes, yes.
So you can see how the tongue, when it blasphemes the devotees, that's why number one mantra is there on speaking, the tongue has
To
to learn
blush.
how to speak. If it's going to speak all kind of garbage, it's going to be a problem, no?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
So taking Krishna Prasadam and chanting Hare Krishna, that way our eating habit can be controlled. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult. In the name of Prasadam, you can always, eat so much also, correct?
Mhm.
Yes, Prabhu. That's what happens.
So when you eat too much, then sleeping also becomes too much, no?
Mhm.
Yes, Prabhu.
Then you blame the alarm clock, no? Huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, my clock is bogus, it didn't work. That's the problem, you see. So therefore, to become regulated is very, very important, as Krishna says. That's
Yes,
why
Prabhu.
one of the point here is that to become fixed up, no?
Mhm.
To become fixed up in devotional service is a high platform.
Kirtida Mataji, you want to read?
Yes. In the beginning, there must be faith. Then one became interested in associating with the pure devotees. Therefore, one is initiated by the spiritual master and execute the regulative principle under his orders. Thus, one is freed from all unwanted habits and became firmly fixed in a devotional service. Therefore, one develop a taste and attachment. This is a way of a sadhana bhakti, the execution of a devotional service according to a regulative principle. Gradually, emotions intensify, and finally, there is an awakening of love. This is the gradual development of a love of a Godhead for the devotee interested in Krishna consciousness.
So see, to attain this firmly fixed in devotional service, one has to become regulated, that he does his activities in a regular manner.
Yes.
And that starts with waking up in the morning. Hmm?
Yes. Yes.
If the waking up is not regulated, then how you can become fixed up? Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that starts with eating, overeating, oversleeping. Like this it goes. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes,
So we
Prabhuji.
should be very, very careful in how we eat and how much we eat. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing is prayasa. Prayasa means uh, over endeavoring. This is what it is means. We are over endeavoring for mundane stuff. Hmm? That's why spiritual life we should be very careful not to over endeavor. Dharmasya ya apavargasya narturto upakalpayute nartasya dharma ke kantasya kamalabhya kesvitaha. You want to read that?
All occupational engagement are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use the material gain to cultivate a sense gratification.
Yes.
Mhm.
So you cannot use or should not use all your material gains to further your sense gratification. That is priyasa, no?
Yes. Mhm.
And you can see here again, life desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation. Since human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth, nothing else should be the goal of one's life. So this is the whole material world. Everybody is into amassing wealth. Huh? Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
and everybody is interested in correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Want to build an empire. Everybody wants to, get material comfort. So that's their life goal. Working very hard for the mostly for the, dependence. Huh? Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
that is their objective. Hmm? So you can see here. Yeah, you can see here. Purpose of wealth. Danam cha dharmeka palam. See this word? Danam cha dharmeka palam. Yato vai. Jnanam cha vijnanam anuprashanti. Griheshu yunjanti kalaivarasya. Mrityum na pashyanti duranta viryam. So dharma, wealth, the only proper fruit of acquired wealth is religiosity. In other words, we should try to employ our hard-earned money for expanding Krishna consciousness. And we do that, then actually we will be safe from this contamination of over-endeavoring, on the basis of which one can acquire philosophical understanding of life that eventually matures into direct possession of absolute truth and thus liberation from all suffering. Materialistic persons, however, utilize their wealth simply for the advancement of their family situation. They fail to see the insurmountable death will soon destroy their frail material body. So the body should be conscious that all these things we are doing, it is going to become finished anyway. Making all these elaborate plans to acquire so many material assets. Correct? And if they are not employed in Krishna's service, then that's simply a waste of time.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So we should endeavor. Nobody say no. Everybody should endeavor. But endeavor for serving Krishna. That's why Krishna says, no, I'm sure you know this verse by heart now. Whatever you do, all that you eat, all that you offer, do
Yes.
is an
Yes.
offering to me, no? Yes. Yat karosi yad asnasi yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasisi kauntaya tat kurusva madarpana. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So that is the purpose of being given these facilities to engage in spreading Krishna consciousness. Then that's best use of wealth. Otherwise, as Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita again, it says here, Yajnanartha karmo nayatra lokayam karma bandhanaha tadartam karma kauntaya mukta sangha samacharaha. Please read.
Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, the work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Akunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. and in that way you will always remain free from a bondage.
Hmm. You understand?
Mhm.
So therefore, we should learn how to work for Krishna.
Yes.
And of course, for that we need a guru. Without a guru, this is not possible.
Mhm.
That's why a spiritual master is very essential to guide us.
Prabhu, I have a question here. Why did Krishna mention for his satisfaction? He should have mentioned for my satisfaction, right?
Perform your prescribed duty for his satisfaction means Krishna is talking about in that sense, for Vishnu, no?
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Mm-hmm.
So, third chapter up to the sixth chapter, he was a little indirect,
Mm-hmm.
Understand? When it comes to seventh chapter, then he started using the word my,
Okay.
You follow?
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Understand?
Yes,
You're
I got
reading Bhagavad Gita every day, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
You understood this?
Got it.
See here, where are we going? You can see here in this verse, Hare Krishna. I'm taking to all this roundabout. So many times Prabhupada spoke on this verse.
Mhm.
See here, see this is verse, I'm just showing an example. So now here, son of Pita, how practicing yoga in full consciousness of me. See this word here?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? But up to the sixth chapter, he was not directed.
Mm.
You follow?
Yes, Prabhu. Got it.
Even so Krishna, that's why all those Mayavads doing all kind of translation, they only used to translate up to the sixth chapter,
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Up to sixth chapter they translate. They don't like to go beyond that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, in the end of the sixth chapter, he says, the word me is understand. Here he is using the word me, huh? The last verse of the sixth chapter. So that you could have said Yajnanartha karma nayatra lokayam karma bandhe. You could have used the word surrender to me, correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
It was not. So okay, the point is that we should learn how to use everything in Krishna's service.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can escape this desire, material desire, and it never ends. The more you get, the more you want to get. The more you get, like this, it goes on. That's why it says karma bandhana. It entangles you. So the only way to come out is to understand that everything belongs to Krishna. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes, Prabhu.
everything is belonging to Krishna, and everything should be used in Krishna's service. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkinchit jagatyam jagat tena bhuktena chaktena bunjita matkrida kasya suttanam. Can you read this?
Madhu Prabhu, can you read?
Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota. And one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong.
So this is how we should accept things, no?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, And if you do like this, then you can stay for hundreds of years, no problem.
Mm.
But if you start taking things and trying to enjoy them, then that's where the problem starts.
Mm.
Carry on reading.
One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way. For that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for man.
Yes.
Yes, true.
So therefore, we have to learn how to become detached.
Mm.
Do not try to become, yeah, it is spiritual life, but then to mess everything and centered on family and, children and everything, that is not very much advisable.
Mm.
You understand? That's
Mm.
why Krishna also said, no, one who is above possessiveness. Bhagavad Gita, in so many places he said that, no? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes, true.
I think here in 15th chapter, I think. Give me a minute, huh?
Mm.
Bhagavad Gita, I think in the 15th chapter, he says,
I think 15 chapter 19th verse. I think I'm the owner of both spiritual and material world.
no, not that. Yeah, 15.5. No, I'm pressing all these buttons. So yeah, this verse, you can see here, Nirmama, Nirmana,
Mm.
Moha Jita Sangha Dosha. Is that it?
Yes.
Adhyatma Nitya Nirvritta Kama, Dvandve Vimukta Sukha Dukha Samgay, Kachanti Amuda, Padam Avyayam. Without mana, false prestige, moha. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand eternal, who are done with material lust, who are free from dualities of happiness, distress, who unbewildered know how to surrender the Supreme Person, attain to the kingdom, eternal kingdom.
Mm.
I think there's another verse also. Give me a minute.
Prabhu, what does free from false association means? Like people who are
I'll come to that.
Mhm.
I will come to that part, false association. So you see, this is very important that one gives up all this, attraction for, mundane wealth and so many things.
Mhm.
Hmm? So therefore, one can only become detached if he has a spiritual master and surrendered to Krishna.
Mhm.
Then he awakens to the real consciousness. Hmm? Understand? So we have to learn how to become detached. Huh? I think this is the verse. Let me try and see. Bhagavad Gita. One is equal to friends and enemy who is equiposed in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness, distress, fame, Unashamed, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with everything, anything, who doesn't care for any residence or striction knowledge, and is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Hmm? So as a householder, you can see how Narada Muni is, advising. You can see here.
A Gruhastha must associate again and again with saintly persons, and with great respect he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord and his incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. While working to earn his livelihood as much as necessary to maintain body and soul together, one who is actually learned should live in human society unattached to family affairs, although externally appearing very much attached. An intelligent man in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from his friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree, saying yes, that is all right. But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu, very nice.
So you see, so this is how we should learn how to be careful, Hmm? Yes.
Yes, Prabhu, yes.
So the next thing we are going to learn about is Prajalpa. Huh? This Prajalpa means is
Yeah.
the idle thought. Huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Correct. Now with this handphone, this mobile phone, correct? Everybody can talk, Hmm?
Yes. Talking too much.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
And
Prabhu.
forwarding everything, WhatsApp University.
Talking and talking and talking non-stop.
And also watching, Prabhu.
Video.
Watching also, and everything but Krishna. So if we do that, then this is what will happen.
One who has not listened to the messages about the prowess and marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and a like the tongue of frog.
So if you simply talk, like a frog, right? What happens, Yes?
Yes, true.
Simply
The snake
talking
will
is not
come.
an invite. Huh?
Enemy snakes.
Yeah, the human tongue especially meant for the frog's croak. Huh? Can you read this thing here?
Nikhil Prabhu, can you read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sure.
I think you can read the whole thing better.
Sure.
All right. Out here.
Devotional service to the Lord is rendered by all limbs or parts of the body. It is a transcendental, dynamic force of spirit soul. Therefore, a devotee is engaged 100% in the service of the Lord. One can engage in devotional service when the senses of the body are purified in relation with the Lord. and one can render the service to the Lord with the help of all the senses. As such, the senses and the action of the senses are to be considered impure or materialistic as long as they are employed only in sense gratification. The purified senses are engaged not in sense gratification but in the service of the Lord uh,
Toto.
In
in
toto, in
toto.
toto.
Uh, the Lord The Lord is the supreme with all senses, and the servitor who is part and parcel of the Lord also has the same senses. Service to the Lord is the completely purified use of senses as described in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord imparted instructions with full senses, and Arjuna received them with full senses, and thus there was a perfect exchange of sensible and logical understanding between the master and the disciple. Spiritual understanding is nothing like an electrical charge from the master to the disciple.
This
As
Prabhupada is explained this. Prabhupada is saying this electrical charge is this Ramakrishna. He touched the head of Vivekananda and he zapped him. And that's it. Now he say, I'm spiritually bankrupt. I've given you everything. So that's why Prabhupada is putting this clause here. It's not some nonsense. Carry on.
as foolishly claimed by some propaganda mongers. Everything is full of sense and logic, and the exchange of views between the master and the disciple is possible only when the reception is submissive and real. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one should receive the teaching of Lord Chaitanya with intellect and full senses so that one can logically understand the great mission. In the impure state of a living being, the various senses are fully engaged in mundane affairs. If the ear is not engaged in the service of the Lord by hearing about him from the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, certainly the holes of the ear will be filled with some rubbish. Therefore, the messages of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam should be preached all over the world very loudly. That is the duty of a pure devotee who has actually heard about them from the perfect sources. Many want to speak something to others, but because they are not trying to speak on the subject matter of Vedic wisdom, they are all speaking nonsense, and people are receiving them with no sense. There are hundreds and thousands of sources for distributing mundane news of the world, and people of the world are also receiving it. Similarly, the people of the world should be taught to hear the transcendental topics of the Lord, and the devotee of the Lord must speak loudly so that they can hear. The frogs loudly croak, with the result that they invite the snakes to eat them. The human tongue is especially given for chanting the Vedic hymns and not for croaking like frogs. The word asati used in this verse is also significant. Asati means a woman who has become a prostitute. A prostitute has no reputation for good womanly qualities. Similarly, the tongue which is given to the human being for chanting the Vedic hymns will be considered a prostitute when engaged in chanting some mundane nonsense.
Yes.
Go on.
Yes, Prabhu.
Literature that is a useless waste of time. In other words, literature without spiritual benefit should be rejected. One should not become a professional teacher as a means of earning one's livelihood, nor should one indulge in arguments and counter arguments, nor should one take shelter of any cause or faction.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Nowadays, it is very fashionable to have somewhat life coaches. Huh? Yeah.
Prabhu, what is
Have
it?
you heard
Life?
about life coach?
Oh, life coach.
ISKCON,
Yes.
So many ISKCON guys are doing this life coach job, no? Giving
Yes, Prabhu.
lectures. Huh? Correct?
Yes, true. Prabhu, so this professional teacher means only the professional teacher who earn money using the knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, right? What about the
Yeah.
college lecturers and other people too?
According to
Mundane.
this, they also useless, no?
Yes, they're also teaching.
Right? Anything that is not meant for elevating the soul to Krishna consciousness, then what is the use of that, you know?
Yes. Mm.
For example, you go to your university and study about funeral management. Huh? There's so many crazy courses, you know?
Yes,
Anybody
Prabhu.
benefit?
No, Prabhu.
The American universities are offering this funeral management course. Huh?
Mhm.
Correct? I'm sure you go there, you'll be so many ridiculous 10-hour courses, correct?
Mm.
But Prabhu,
Yes.
for taking the mission forward, we need money, and then we need these material teachers to teach the people.
You mean to say in the years that were gone before, there were no such courses. People all didn't survive.
No, I'm not talking about these specific courses. I'm talking about just regular courses also.
Yeah, but I'm asking this question. No, in the previous time, there was no engineering and all that. People just didn't survive. Tell me,
Hmm.
correct?
Yes,
The
Prabhu.
main thing is to divide the society in the varnashram system. No, Brahmins give the knowledge, Kshatriyas manage the country, the Vaishyas produce the food grains, and the Sudras have to work. Yes,
Yes, Prabhu.
you mean to say it is not feasible? Anyway, another point, whatever you learn, are you applying in your life?
Yes, Prabhu.
All those things you studied for years and years and years, I mean, are you putting into practice? Tell me. Are
Yes,
you
Prabhu.
applying this Pythagoras theorem?
No,
Huh?
Prabhu. Not.
Are you applying trigonometry? Huh? You applying?
No,
Huh?
Prabhu.
So what's the use of studying all this stuff? You don't even know. You don't even apply. Don't use. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Very true.
So many things are irrelevant. Did I tell you this has become a big industry, making money out of education and out of health? Yes,
Yes, Prabhu.
correct.
Yes.
Hmm. That's why the Brahmins, they were in control of this education and health, and they don't charge money.
Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
Yes,
people
Prabhu.
are, they are given enough education, what you need to know. Yes,
Mhm. Yes, Prabhu.
but the most important education is how to come out of this mess. That they're not teaching. Yes,
Yes,
is there a
Prabhu.
department in any of the universities that's speaking about how to come out of this material mess?
Mhm.
Hmm?
They actually
Your Harvard,
entangle it
your
even
Harvard,
more.
your Harvard has a course on Krishna consciousness. Yes. Yeah.
No.
So what is the use? Everything you're studying, the most important studying, that is not there, then what is the value? Tell me. Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
If you teach people to be stuck in the material world, that's the biggest disservice, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Is it? This is the verse. I hope it is the one. Give me a minute. Hello? 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 Hello?
Is it Sri Krishna Mandir?
Yeah. Can
Hare
you
Krishna.
can you call later? We are on overseas call, huh?
Okay.
Right. So here, then this is the thing. Let me see. Can you read this?
Ranachur Prabhu, can you read?
Tara. How can one who is actually learned, merciful, and advanced in spiritual knowledge engage him in spiritual activity and thus further entangle him material existence? If a blind man is walking down the wrong path, how can a gentleman allow him to continue on his way to danger? How can he approve this method? No wise or kind man can allow this.
Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
So try to understand. That's why Prabhupada said, no, Prabhupada wrote the books, pen us up. Huh? Why? To help? No.
Yes, Prabhu.
Correct.
Yes, Prabhu.
You simply vibrate, then you are no better than this. You know.
Frogs.
Yeah. This is what your position is, simply wasting time. Hmm?
Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Praise those men who will never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils.
So do you want to be in this category? Yes? Hello?
No, no.
No, Prabhu.
Huh? Yes, sir.
No.
Huh? Come on, this is nonsense. Hmm? Read this.
Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all good personality of Godhead.
So this is what happens? Hmm? Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
It's true.
You use your time to talk nonsense, then lifespan is finished. But if you utilize to speak about Krishna, then yes,
Utilized.
correct?
Yes.
You understand? Yes?
Yes,
It's
Prabhu.
true.
Hmm. So if you don't want to engage in Krishna service, then there's no good news, no? Correct? So the next word is Niyama Graha. Niyama Graha means practicing the rules and regulations for the sake of following them, not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations, working whimsically and independently. Hmm? So we should learn how to understand that we have to follow these rules and regulations for Krishna's, service in advancement in spiritual life. But if simply follow them blindly, then what is the point? Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm? Bhagavad Gita. अनासक्तास्य विषयन् इतहम् उपयुञ्जितः निर्बन्ध कृष्ण संबंधे युक्त वैराग्यम् उच्यते प्रपंचकृताय बुद्धया हरि संबंधि वस्तुनः मुमुक्षुभिः परित्यागो वैराग्यं फल्गु कथयते. You want to read this?
When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of its relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. A Krishna conscious person well knows that everything belongs to Krishna and that he is always free from feelings of personal possession. As such, he has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. He is always aloof from material things because he is always transcendental, and he is always alone, having nothing to do with persons not in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, the person in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi. Surrender unto me.
So you can see how if a person, you understand that everything belongs to Krishna and use it properly in Krishna's service, that's actually following the rules and regulations properly. But if a person is so much into following the rules and regulation and not interested in actually serving the Lord, then it is, not proper understanding. Correct? A classic example is Yudhishthira. He was told to lie, that Ashwatthama is dead, no?
Mm.
Remember?
It's true.
But he didn't want to speak a lie because he wanted to become a very strict moralist. Hmm?
Mhm.
You understand? So that was not very good on his character. You follow?
Mhm.
So one should follow rules and regulation only to
Satisfied.
get Krishna.
Yes.
Hmm. Otherwise, like another example is that everybody like to do this mauna stuff, no? In silence, correct?
Mhm.
Maunam, correct?
It's true.
Yes. But they don't know how to do this mauna. Hmm? Can you read here?
Mauna means silence. Unless one becomes silent, he cannot think completely about the pastimes and activities of the Lord. It is not that because one is a fool and cannot speak nicely, he therefore takes the oath of Mauna. Rather, one becomes silent so that people will not disturb him. It is said by Chanakya Pandit that a rascal appears very intelligent as long as he does not speak. But speaking is the test. The so-called silence of a silent impersonalist, Swami, indicates that he has nothing to say. He simply wants to beg. But the silence adopted by Kardama Muni was not like that. He became silent for relief from He became silent for relief from nonsensical talk. One is called a Muni when he remains grave and does not talk nonsense. Maharaj Ambarisha set a very good example. Whenever he speaks, he spoke about the pastimes of the Lord. Mauna necessities, refraining from nonsensical talking and engaging with talking facility in the pastimes of the Lord. In that way, one can chant and hear about the Lord in order to perfect his life. Vratam means that one should take a vow, as explained in
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, here you can see that silence, is very nice. But if you use that silence in talking about Krishna, that is better silence, no?
Yes, true.
Yes? Hmm. So too much trying to follow rules can be an impediment if it is not utilized properly in Krishna's service. You follow? Just like another thing that all sannyasis, they don't cross ocean is very popular among the sannyasis, no?
Yes, true.
But if you cross the ocean and preach Krishna consciousness, isn't that better?
Yes, true.
Hmm. So to become very much fixed up in the mundane rules and regulation and not caring for spiritual advancement, and that is not, that is actually a downfall. You understand? On the other hand, if one don't follow the rules also, that's also another problem. Hmm? Correct? या शास्त्र विधि युत्सृज्य वर्तते काम करातः नासा सिद्धिम अपनोति नाशकम न परम गतिम. You want to read this?
He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own will attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. As described before, The Shastra Vidhi or the direction of the Shastra is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts whimsically according to his lust, greed, and desire, then he never will be perfect in his life.
Hmm.
Called
Purport.
In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is to be known as the lowest of mankind. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow the regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral, but even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore, one should gradually rise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then there that he can attain the highest perfection stage, not otherwise. The word kamakarataha is very significant. A person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. He knows that this is forbidden, but still he acts. This is called acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done, but still he does not do it. Therefore, he is called whimsical. Such persons are destined to be condemned by the Supreme Lord. Such persons cannot have the perfection which is meant for the human life. The human life is especially meant for purifying one's existence, and one who does not follow the rules and regulations cannot purify himself, nor can he attain the real state of happiness.
So you can see here how you don't follow the Shastric rules, then you cannot get perfection, happiness, nor the supreme destination. So we have to follow the rules, and we have to also follow the rules according to developing love for Krishna. Otherwise, all this karma kanda thing that all are doing, actually it becomes difficult. In fact, Krishna wants us not to get into this karma kanda thing at all. Bhagavad Gita, right? Told Arjuna to go beyond, right? What is this? 240, is it? 42. Here he's saying, right? Very much attached to the flowery. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. You recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planet, result on good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification, opulent life, they say there's nothing more than this. I think what is this? Vishaya Veda Traigunya. Where's that verse? Neshtragunya Bhavarjuna. That's a thing in what, 50, 45, is it? 45, is it? Yeah. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Arjuna become transcendental to the three modes, be free from all dualities, from all anxiety for gain, safety, and to establish in the self. So the karma kanda thing are many kind of rules, that are very much part of the Vedic culture, and people are so much into following the rules and not interested in Krishna. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Especially in Indians, I think there's so many things, they say you must do like this, you must do like that. Yes,
Yes, Prabhu.
correct.
Yes, Prabhu.
That's why a devotee should never engage in fruity. We see here, point here. A devotee should never engage in fruity rituals mentioned in the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas.
Oh, then this is where the temples who follow different Vedic rituals, like doing different yagnas, which was not recommended by Prabhupada, is wrong, right, Prabhu?
Well, what Prabhupada has given, you should follow since you are his disciple, no?
Yes,
Correct?
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
You try to invent something that he has not told you to do. That's why he chastised. You can see so many letters in the folio, right? Prabhupada is
Yes, Prabhu.
chastised, correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
So you always invent something new. Huh? That's what he said, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Correct. So nor should he become atheistic, acting or speaking in opposition to Vedic injunctions. Similarly, he should never speak like a mere logician or skeptic or take side whatsoever in useless arguments. So these are all points that we have to learn to understand. If you're not sure, then you should inquire. Correct?
Yes.
And then here, the next one. Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Rules and regulations. Associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness.
Prabhu, in some other camps, they invite a lot of Mayavadis for their programs, and that is also association only, right?
Yeah, when you hear from someone, you're not associating. Primarily, spiritual life is Shruti, to hear, no? Correct?
Yes, sure.
Is it not? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given this formula for association, no? Atsat Sangatya Ge Vaishnavachar. This is his instruction, no?
Yes.
Asat Sangatya Ge Vaishnavachar. Sri Sangi Eka Asadu Krishna Abhakta Ar. You want to read this?
Shivram Prabhu, can you read?
For a Vaishnava, the standard behavior is to avoid the association of ordinary people not interested in Krishna Bhakti. Such common people are first those who are too materially attached, especially to women, and second to people who are not at all devotees of Lord Krishna. Vaishnava should avoid the company of these two kinds of people.
So this attachment to materialistic people is to be avoided, no? This is from the third canto. You want to read this?
Yes, sir. By association with worldly people, one becomes devoid of truthlessness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all opportunities. One should not at any time associate with a course-fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization and who is no more than a toy animal in the hands of a woman. The illusion and bondage that accrue to a man from attachment to any other object are not as complete as that resulting from association with a woman or with men too much attached to women.
So you see how dangerous this is.
Yes, true.
Worldly attachment. You lose. Just like the example of Ajamil, he
Yeah.
associated with his prostitute. He lost all his spiritual qualities.
It's true.
You understand?
It's true.
This is there also. The illusory material nature attracts the minor living entity to embrace her. As a result, he assumes forms composed of her qualities. Subsequently, he loses all his spiritual qualities and must undergo repeated deaths. Yes? Hmm? Yes?
It's true.
Karanam gunasangosya sadasya. Can you read this?
It is better to accept the miseries of being encaged within bars and surrounded by burning flames than to associate with those bereft of Krishna consciousness. Such association is a very great hardship. One should not even see those who are bereft of devotional service in Krishna consciousness and who are therefore devoid of pious activities. Without hesitation, one should take exclusive shelter of Lord Krishna with full confidence, giving up bad association and even neglecting the regulative principles of the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. That is to say, one should abandon all material attachment.
Prabhu, one second. That verse. Giving up all really.
No,
the previous. Yeah, giving up
without hesitation.
93, Prabhu.
93. Yeah. Even neglecting the regulative principles of the 4 Varnas means the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Can you give some example here?
Without hesitation, one should take exclusive shelter of Lord Krishna with full confidence, giving up bad associations, even neglecting the regulative principles of the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashrams. That is to say, one should abandon all material attachment. All right, so to give you the example, it says here, can you read this?
One who does not accept the transcendental form of the Lord is certainly an agnostic. Such a person should be neither seen nor touched. Indeed, he is subject to be punished by Yamraj.
So even people who are sannyasis or what, but they are mayavas.
The Buddhists do not recognize the authority of the Vedas, therefore they are considered agnostics. However, those who have taken shelter of the Vedic scriptures yet preach agnosticism in accordance with the Mayavada philosophy are certainly more dangerous than the Buddhists.
Prabhu, if suppose these kind of Mayava, these are your family relatives and they coming to your house without like you inviting them, they're coming and they're staying in your house and they eating Krishna Prasadam, how do we?
Well, if you can give them association, that's another thing, no?
Yes,
You're
true,
not taking association. That's 2 different words. Giving association and taking association, no? You must be having the upper hand, no? Giving prasadam, talking about Krishna, trying to convince him. Yes?
Yes, true.
But if you go there and associate with them and take their, association and not, what we say, speak up, then you are implicated, correct?
Yes, true. Yes, true.
Mm.
So recently, one of the family came to visit us, and I was giving prasadam and I was trying to preach this message, but unfortunately, they are not ready to take this.
So at least they started, had some prasadam. Their
Mhm.
spiritual life started, no?
Yes,
Correct?
yes, true.
Is it not?
Mhm.
So that is their fortune,
Mhm.
So you can see here how we should not associate with Mayavad people, correct?
Yes, true.
You can read the purport. I don't have the time now, but you try to
Sure,
read.
bro. Okay.
So all these verses that I'm giving you, you just take note. Then you please go back to it and look at all the verses. That way you will also learn because Prabhupada is giving a lot of purport, no?
Yes, true.
So yeah, we should not associate with Buddhist people. They are considered as agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
And not only Buddhists, here it's also said those who worship demigod, we should also give up their association. Can you read?
Lord Chaitanya was once asked by one of his householder devotees what the general behavior of a Vaishnava should be. In this connection, Lord Chaitanya replied that a Vaishnava should always give up the company of non-devotees. Then he explained that there are two kinds of non-devotees. One class is against the supremacy of Krishna and another class is too materialistic. In other words, those who are after material enjoyment and those who are against the supremacy of the Lord are called a Vaishnava, and their company should be strictly avoided. In the Katyayana Samhita, it is stated that even if one is forced to live within a cage of iron or in the midst of blazing fire, he should accept this position rather than live with non devotees who are through and through against the supremacy of the Lord. Similarly, in the Vishnu Rahasya, there is a statement to the effect that one should prefer to embrace a snake, a tiger, or an alligator rather than associate with persons who are worshippers of various demigods and who are impelled by material desire. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is instructed that one may worship a certain demigod if he is desirous of achieving some material gain. For example, one is advised to worship the sun god if he is desirous of getting rid of a diseased condition. For a beautiful wife, one may worship Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva, and for advanced education, one may worship Saraswati. There is a similar list for worshippers of all demigods according to different material desires. But all of these worshippers, although they appear to be very good devotees of the demigods, are still considered to be non devotees. They cannot be accepted as devotees.
Hello?
Yeah.
Carry
The
on reading.
Yes, true.
The Mayavadis' impersonalists say that one may worship any form of the Lord and that it doesn't matter because one reaches the same destination anyway. But it is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that those who are worshippers of the demigods will ultimately reach only the planets of those demigods, while those who are devotees of the Lord Himself will be persons who are worshippers of demigods.
Will be promoted.
Our devotees of the Lord Himself will be promoted to the Lord's abode, the kingdom of God. So actually, these persons who are worshippers of demigods have been condemned in the Gita. It is described that due to their lusty desires, they have lost their intelligence and have therefore taken to worshipping the different demigods. So in the Vishnu Rahasya, these demigod worshippers are forcefully condemned by the statement that it is better to live with the most dangerous animals than to associate with these persons.
Yes.
Yes, true.
Prabhu, this ninth offense, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. So, how where should we draw a line? Like, how much should we endeavor to try to preach to a particular person if he is not receptive or always arguing some nonsensical things?
Then you should, not go to him, no? He's envious and he's
No,
not
he's
accepting.
coming to us. They have come to our house.
Yeah, definitely. You should try to put your point in, and if he's not willing to accept, then just give him prasadam and ask him to go home, no?
Mm.
Yes?
Yes, true.
But you cannot entertain, such people and start talking more and then become a problem, no?
Yes,
Yes?
true. Yes, true.
Yes or not?
Yes.
Mm. So again, we should also now, this is a big thing now, we should learn how to avoid the association of even so-called devotees,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? You want to read this?
Friendship should be cemented between persons with mutual interest and understanding. Such persons are said to be swajati, of the same caste. The devotee should avoid a person whose character is not fixed in the standard understanding, even though he may be a Vaishnava or a devotee of Krishna. If his character is not correctly representative, then he should be avoided. One should steadily control the senses and the mind and strictly follow the rules and regulations, and he should make friendship with persons of the same standard.
I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about.
Yes, true.
Yes, sir.
So if a person is not properly represented or of the same understanding, you cannot associate with them, even though they may be Vaishnavas.
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
But what about an office, Prabhu? Like you, in your team members, you would be forced to um, be in discussions about mundane things. It cannot be always within the office.
Yeah, then one thing you got to do, correct? You have to get money, what to do? Yes.
Yes, true.
So you have to try to work in such a way that you will not be in such a situation. Make plans to come out and do something else where you have more time for not associating with these people. Correct?
Yes, true.
You have to learn how to see. Now we are in the material world, is it not? Correct?
Yes.
So can we not pray to come out of this material world?
Yes, true.
So can we also not pray to come out of a material entanglement?
Yes, true.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes, true.
I'm sure if you making so much money, if you go back to India, you don't have to work for the rest of your life. Yes.
Yes, true. To lead a very simple life, definitely. Yes.
You can go to the temple every day. You can chant. You can do so many things. Yes.
Yes, true.
But no, I'm in America. Yes.
Mm.
So if you stay in America, then you have to work like an ass. Correct?
Even in India, if you go there, because of us relatives and things, it becomes difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to totally
you
cut
have
off from
to,
relatives.
Yeah, you have to, because what is this relative? Relative means money only, no? Correct?
Yeah.
When you have no money, then how to come, how to go? They won't come, no?
Yes, bro.
Correct?
Yes, true.
So you have choice. That is your desire. If you want to become serious, then there's always Krishna who can make so many plans for you.
Mm.
Yes?
Yes, true.
Man proposed, God disposed. Correct? Yes or not?
Yes, true.
I mean, listen, even myself, I never worked. That means what? I was a failure or something?
No.
Yeah. I never, practically almost all my life, I never worked. I just preached Krishna consciousness.
You're very fortunate, true.
Why? You also can be fortunate one. Example, no. We are showing example, correct?
Yes, true.
But
So
seeing us relatives and friends, right? They think, oh, if you go into Krishna consciousness, you will not be enjoying anything. That's the feeling they get.
Yeah, what is day for us is night for them, no?
Correct, but the question still remains on how to convert more and more people, right?
Yes, better not to preach to relatives, no?
Hmm.
Number one rule. Yeah, because these guys, they will never come. Yes?
Yes.
Understand? The relatives all best to let others preach, you know. You go and preach to them because they're familiar with you. They will never listen, no?
Yes, true.
Yes.
Ah, so you try to ask others to talk to them. Hmm?
Mm.
So again here, we should try to be careful associating with so-called devotees. Huh?
Mhm.
You understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
So people who are following all kind of camps, you know, we have to be careful. There's so many camps, no?
Yes, true.
Hmm. So try to understand Krishna consciousness. They're not whimsical. Hmm? So we cannot associate with the Mayavans. We cannot associate worldly interested people. We cannot associate with demigod worshippers also.
Mhm.
Correct?
Yes, true.
Mayavad, demigod worshippers, we cannot even associate devotees who are also not properly in proper standing. Yes?
Mhm.
So you see how one should be very careful in his spiritual life.
Mhm. Yes,
Yes?
yes.
So why this is not something we should take in a light way, you know. Unless we are giving association, then that's another thing. And of course, the last thing is what? Being greedy for
Mundane.
mundane achievements. So this greed uh, is very dangerous thing. Greed, eh?
Puja Pratishta.
Hmm? So laulyam, no? Yes.
Yes, true.
So if you are greedy, then it is explained here what happens to you. Hmm? You become greedy. You want to read this?
Because of greed for the sake of the senses, the spiritual strength, education, austerity, and reputation of a devotee or brahmana who is not self-satisfied dwindle, and his knowledge gradually vanishes.
So that's why it's very dangerous, you know, because of greed for the senses, the spiritual strength, education, austerity, reputation of a devotee or a brahmana is self-satisfied, dwindle, and his knowledge gradually vanishes. Hmm?
And here the greed is for everything, money, fame, everything, right? True.
Yes,
Achievements.
Anything.
yes. Hmm?
The strong
Carry
body,
on.
the strong bodily desires and needs of a person disturbed by hunger and thirst are certainly satisfied what he eats when he eats. Similarly, if one becomes very angry, that anger is satisfied by chastisement and its reaction. But as for greed, even if a greedy person has conquered all the directions of the world or has enjoyed everything in the world, still he will not be satisfied.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
So greed should be employed. How this, if you just get into material sense gratification, then this all these qualities apply. So we should learn how to use greed for serving Krishna, you know. That should be our purpose. Hmm? Krishna bhakti rasa bhavita matihi kriyantam yadi kutopi labhyate tatra lavlyam api mulyam dik ekalam Janma koti sukirti na lapyate. Prabhupada got this Krishna consciousness from this verse, you know.
Oh,
Oh,
Krishna consciousness came from this verse. Can you read?
pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay.
So this is how you should employ your greed, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
To become Krishna conscious. So I have explained at length the six qualities that we should avoid. Huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes,
yes, Prabhu.
I think you must have understood very clearly, huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. So when we
any
follow all
que-
these six, is when we get faith, Prabhu, faith and sincerity and love towards our Guru.
Yeah, once you become a disciple, you should first understand what things we shouldn't do. Hmm?
Right. Yes, Prabhu.
That's why in the nectar of devotion, the first thing is not all the things that you shouldn't do, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Then you start saying, no, what are the things that will help you, you know? Utsaham,
Mhm.
Nishaya, Dharya, Tat, Karma, Pravant. So that we will cover maybe next class or something. Hmm?
Sure, Prabhu.
So we should know how to do things properly, that we need guidance, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. How you can become sincere, you break all these 6 rules. Can you become?
No, Prabhu.
No, Prabhu.
Not possible. Yes. Isn't it? Hmm?
Yes,
Correct.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm. So, any other? I think there's some questions in the chat. Huh? Someone is asking a question.
Why did Sutta Goswami felt Bhagavatam as a trouble to read, even though he was a Atma Rama? Reference to my question is from Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 9.
So we will find out why he had difficulty in reading that. Actually, it's not really a fact. Sri Saunaka Sutta Goswami, Sri Sukadev Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, and thus he was pleased with his own self. Why? So why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? It doesn't say that he, does it say like that? Huh?
No, no. That's
So why did he
Shaunaka.
take, she didn't understand properly, huh?
Yeah, she didn't understand.
So is she here or she left?
No,
Or,
Prabhu, she left. I'll answer.
so
She'll
it
watch the
doesn't mean,
recorded video.
understand.
Yes,
So she got it wrong, I think.
yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, I have one question.
Yeah.
So in other camps, they say that Gayatri initiation is Brahmana Diksha is not needed. But you also showed us some verses that it is very important to have Brahmana Diksha. One should endeavor to get. So what are the rules and regulations for the Brahmana Diksha, Prabhu? Because like I've seen little liberal about following those rules and regulations. I would like to know what are the strict rules that we have to follow as a Brahmin.
So you have to at least study the book, no? You should know something, correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
And you must be following all the principles that we have taught, you know? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. 1 second, no? Yeah, Hare Krishna. Can I call you back? I'm on a class. I'll call you shortly, huh? All right. So you see how Sukadev Goswami knows, it's not that he doesn't know. Bhagavatam, yes.
Mhm.
So if you follow very strictly and, you know how to know some things, not that you don't know anything completely, right?
Mhm. I know, Prabhu, but like for example, like Gayatri recitation, there is a particular time that we have to do when the sun rises or sun sets. But in the
That
other
is,
camp, they don't follow that. So
they don't chant Gayatri 3 times a day.
no, they do follow, but the timings they are not particular.
Like sometimes if they are busy in the office, they'll do all the 3 times in the evening.
Well, that's a little strange, isn't it?
Mm.
So, of course, if they forget, that's another thing,
Mhm.
But you have to learn how to do that 3 times a day.
Mhm.
That's not the main thing. The real thing is to, be qualified with all the qualities of Brahminical order, no? Correct?
Mhm. It's true.
Simply taking the thread and acting like a low class person and doesn't know anything, then what's the point, no?
Mhm.
Yes?
It's true.
So one has to be qualified, especially if he's staying outside and having practically no association. It's going to be difficult, isn't that?
Mhm.
Nobody can see you. You don't know what you're doing. Simply you get the threat and you do all nonsense. Then how?
Mhm.
Yes. Like
It's
now,
true.
you see, I'm giving you so much direction. Is it not?
It's true.
That you have been devotee for so long, but you never got this opportunity. Is it not a fact?
It's true. Nobody gave it this.
So you got to be trained, no, to be a
It's true.
Brahmin. Yes.
It's true.
Is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's true.
Anything else?
That's okay. Ranachur Prabhu, you have some question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We have to also read Mukunda Manastika and Narada Bhakti Sutra also, right? Books written by Prabhupada.
Narada Pancha Prabhupada was writing it, then he stopped. He says the same thing is repeated in the Nectar of Devotion and other books. No? So he's finished it.
Narada Bhakti Sutra and Mukunda Manas Sutra.
I think Mukunda Mala Sutra, did he translate it? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Actually,
You
yeah,
can
even
read.
I don't see.
I don't know. He translated it. No? He was more 1-2 verses he may have spoken about. No?
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. So that is what I was having doubt whether it is written by Prabhupada or not. I see in prabhupadbooks.com website, so I got doubt whether it is pre-1978 or I didn't
No, but
understand.
you can read. No harm in it, no? Because it's Vaishnava. No, you're not saying you don't read, but whether Prabhupada translated totally and that I'm not sure.
Okay.
But there's so many other books. No, why? Of course you can. If you got time, you have read all the other books, then you also can read this. Nobody's saying no, not to read, but there are other books which are very valuable, no? Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion.
Yes,
Yes?
sir. No, I just had doubt, so I was asking.
Okay, you try to read, if you're not objecting.
Yeah, sure.
So anything else? Getting very late for all of you, no? Yes? Is it not? What time is it now there?
7:30 in the West Coast. 10:30 in the East.
10:35 in the East Coast, Prabhu. 10:35 in the East Coast.
10:35 in the East Coast.